Hi, I'm Lars from All About Samsung, and today we're gonna have a first comparison of the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus and the Huawei P20 Pro. Two cameras which claim the best smartphone camera for themselves, so let's see which camera and which smartphone is the best. The first thing you're going to see is, of course, the design. Both devices feature a large display on the front. The 6.2-inch AMOLED screen of the Galaxy S9 Plus is slightly larger than the 6.1-inch AMOLED screen of the P20 Pro. In theory, the S9 Plus has the higher resolution with 2960 to 1440 pixel, but by default they're just using FHD Plus instead, so both devices are more or less even. Anyway, the devices look pretty different on the front because of 2 or 3 design differences. Samsung is using curved glass and has quite a unique design because of the so-called infinity display. Huawei instead has a notch in the top part of the display and at the bottom part a home button with a fingerprint scanner. While Samsung placed a camera, some sensors and a second speaker in the frame above the display, Huawei placed camera and speaker into the notch, without having the same Kinect-like technology that Apple has with Face ID. So you can argue a lot about a notch making sense and even more about its aesthetics, especially when there is a home button with fingerprint scanner on the front as well. Right now you can't place such a sensor in the display in high numbers and high quality, so if you do like fingerprint on the front and having small bezels, the Huawei P20 Pro might be the best option today. On the backside, there are also some bigger differences between the two devices. First, of course, the colors. Samsung is using lilac purple as its signature color. Huawei is using twilight, a mixture between turquoise and blue, violet. Hard to describe, but nice to see. A real color gradient below glass. Pretty awesome and in my opinion a bit more outstanding. I really wish Huawei good luck with that color to make the color game on smartphones more entertaining. The second big difference is of course the camera, or to be more correct, the cameras. 2 on the S9 Plus, 3 on the back of the P20 Pro, and under the hood even more things different. More about that in a minute. Below the camera, Samsung places the fingerprint scanner on the back, finally in a more usable position than on last year's Galaxy S8 Plus. But still quite small, and a scanner on the front as on the P20 Pro wins that comparison of course, even though the backside of the S9 Plus is in my opinion slightly nicer than the one of the P20 Pro, and the same about the matte frame on the S9 Plus in comparison to the glossy frame on the Huawei P20 Pro. Both devices feature an IP certification, IP68 on the S9 Plus, IP67 on the P20 Pro. Both is fine for life insurance when you get close to water. Both devices also equip the earpiece as a front speaker and deliver quite a good sound with the main speaker on the bottom of the device. And you will find minor flaws on both devices as well. Samsung is still using the Bixby button nobody wants. Huawei isn't using a 3.5mm jack anymore, even though a lot of people would like to see one. Now about the hardware. Samsung got a brand new Exynos 9810 Octa. Huawei the same Kirin 970 as found on the Mate 10 Pro before. In benchmarks, Samsung wins that comparison. As I don't care about benchmarks, that doesn't matter for me. There is a difference when it comes to storage. 128GB are found on the P20 Pro, 64GB of storage on the S9 Plus. But you can expand these 64GB with a microSD card up to 400GB. That's not an option on the P20 Pro. But here the battery is larger with 4000 mAh on the P20 Pro versus 3500 mAh on the S9 Plus. I bet that the battery on the P20 Pro is more durable. After the hardware, now the software. Android 8.0 on the S9, Android 8.1 on the P20. That doesn't sound like much, but because of Samsung's slow update policy, I'd call Huawei the winner here. On the S9 you got the Samsung Experience 9.0 as a user interface, while Huawei is using the EMUI 8.1, a thing of personal taste for sure. I prefer Samsung here. Both UIs feature some special detail. As an example, on the P20 Pro you can hide the notch. A special menu blacks out the background and the OLED screen looks like, a frame with icons. But you're losing your nice aspect ratio though. Samsung brings a combination of the iris scan and the face detection, the so-called intelligent scan. Huawei got no iris scan, but because of the front-facing fingerprint scanner you probably won't need one. The biggest difference between the 2018 flagships of Samsung and Huawei is for sure the camera, or to be more precise, the cameras. Because Samsung is using a combination like on the Note 8, a main camera and a second zoom lens with 2 times the focal length. Huawei got even more, three cameras. A main camera, a zoom camera with a 3x focal length, and a third monochrome sensor. It's even more interesting what's under the hood of those cameras. Samsung is using large dual pixels and an embedded DRAM into the sensor for super slow motion videos with 960 frames a second and multi-frame noise reduction by combining 12 pictures on each and every picture into one picture, and also taking 4K videos with 60 frames per second. Huawei instead got a main camera with 40 megapixel. Yeah, you got that right, 40. But as you don't need them in most situations, the P20 Pro takes pictures with just 10 megapixels by default. Therefore, 4 pixels are being combined to 1 large pixel instead of 4 small ones, 10 instead of 40. That's called light fusion. The zoom cam has 8 megapixel. In combination with the two other sensors, a 5x hybrid zoom without any loss is possible, according to Huawei. The big minus, no optical image stabilization is found on the P20 Pro. Huawei claims that the NPU of the Kirin 970 stabilizes pictures and videos with artificial intelligence. At least in videos on my pre-production model, that didn't look as good as an optical image stabilization on the S9. Even though AI is a big topic. Huawei claims that a shutter speed of 8 seconds can be managed in the hand without the need of a tripod. Sounds spectacular, but I need to test that first. Samsung got a different special feature, an adjustable aperture stop on the main camera. The aperture of f1.5 is larger than the f1.8 on Huawei's main camera. We got also f1.6 on the monochrome sensor and f2.4 on the zoom lens. Anyway, and you can change that f1.5 on the S9 to f2.4 as well to take pictures in very bright conditions. Sometimes that makes a difference, sometimes not. In all situations, the video and photo quality of the S9 Plus is outstanding. As a verdict to the camera, I have to say that both are very impressive, but Huawei at least sounds a bit more innovative. The Google Pixel showed how good an electrical stabilization can work, and 40 megapixels, as in the Lumia 1020, sounds awesome. But it'll also be a matter if Huawei has improved the video quality as well. The P20 Pro is capable of 4K video with 30 frames per second, but you have to keep in mind that the quality in recent years was 2 or 3 years behind the competition. Both got super slow motion, Samsung has some semi-fancy AR emojis, and by the way, the front cam at Samsung got an autofocus, and Huawei you got the same light fusion technique with 6 megapixels out of a 24 megapixel sensor on the front. So this was the first comparison of the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus and the Huawei P20 Pro. I have to say, the most important thing for me is the color of the P20 Pro. To be honest, this color is so spectacular that the lilac purple, which is a nice color of the S9 Plus, is a bit boring. Because this color is so shiny and I really do like it. The other thing which is very important is of course the camera, and I like to have 40 megapixels in the camera, even though in low light conditions you just have 10 megapixels. On the S9 Plus you have the very large aperture of f1.5, and of course you have the possibility of doing multiple pictures, so the multi-frame noise reduction technique in the S9 Plus. I'd like to see a comparison of both cameras, and I'm going to do such a comparison soon. So be sure to follow us here on YouTube. I'm Lars from All About Samsung. See you next time. Bye.